we could just, and then everyone watches through Periscope.
Hey guys, welcome everyone. What's up, what's up? We've got folks already joining. Krista, I'm going to go ahead and introduce, your video. We lost your video. There we go.
Okay.
Hey everybody, this is Lindsay Gramont, the Homemade Mommy. I blog over at homemademommy.net and blog about all things real food, Weston Price, DIY beauty, homemade everything with tips for busy moms as well. And that's what today's scope is all about. And Krista Smith is on here. I'm going to mute her for a second because she's talking about... She is also periscoping at the same time, so I'm just muting her for a second as she introduces her scope. But I've got Krista Smith on. She is a Royal Crown Diamond with Young Living and is my inspiration. I heard a few months ago from her. She was on an interview with Danny Johnson, and you can check that out if you just Google Danny Johnson interviews Krista Smith. And you will hear about how she has 15 children and works her business 5 hours a week, and I just had to know more. I am completely in awe of her as a leader, and I am so excited. You guys are not going to want to miss this interview. So for all of you that are on right now, about 130 of you, I want you guys to share this with your followers. And let me unmute her. Are you still there? I unmuted you because you were introducing your scope. So I'm having everyone invite their followers, sharing on Facebook, on Twitter, wherever you can share it, because this is an amazing story. I don't care if you are in a network marketing company or not. This is something that is relevant for you and all of our busyness in this world. This is something that will help every single one of you and all of your mom and dad friends. This is going to be amazing. Yes, her face is a little bit white. She's in a cafeteria, and we worked on it, and there's really nothing we can do about it. So, as long as you can hear her, that's all that matters.
Can you guys hear me okay, Lindsay?
Yes, so...
You guys can hear me.
Okay.
I just got asked a question, Lindsay, that I just have to answer.
Okay.
How do I pick my hair color?
Oh.
I actually use henna. I love it. It's amazing. It's herbal. It's natural. I get it from a health food store. I actually was ordering on Amazon for like $6, but I recently got the liquid henna, and they have all colors. They have blonde, they have red, and it's actually healthy for your hair.
Awesome. Thanks, Krista. She was having some folks ask questions on hers too, so we're going to save questions for the end so that we don't get too split up here. But again, folks, if you're just joining, welcome, welcome. You can follow me on Periscope at HMadeMommy. Just swipe and click the plus sign. Krista's handle is, what's your handle on Periscope, Krista?
Krista's 2 cents.
Krista 2 cents. Krista's 2 cents. Okay.
And I am not in my office. I'm actually at the cafeteria at my school. This is my office hours. When we were talking about time management on Wednesday, I'm totally just kidding. Someone asked me about my office, and this is my office hours from 9 to about 3 on Tuesdays, unless my daughter comes at noon. This is my time I spend on Young Living.
Wow.
And so this is it. This is all I get every week.
Wow.
So I have to get really focused during this time, and this is all I get.
Well, let's take a step back here. So when did you start with Young Living?
When did I start with Young Living?
Yes.
I started in 2009, and the way that I was, the leaders that would come, they would spend all day on Saturday working from 9 to 5, and I would look at them and go, there's just no way I can even attend those classes, let alone put one on. So I was really insistent that I was never going to do this as a business, because we came from a background where I'm a type of personality that will run crazy and leave my loved ones behind, because I'm kind of a conqueror. And we had filed divorce, my husband and I, when we had just one kid. Now we have 15 later, crazy. And I recognized really quickly that if I was to get behind something like Young Living, that because we love the product so much, I knew I would leave my family and my husband, and everything I treasure could suffer. So with that time of commitment, I just said, no, there's no way. So for 2 years, I just shared. I would edify a skill that Danny teaches us. Um, Edification is a very powerful thing, and it's like your leaders, Lindsay, need to edify you, whether they like you or not. It's not about like, it's about growing your paycheck and creating an environment that is wonderful, encouraging, and positive. And that's one thing that I see, that when somebody hits a wall, sometimes they just stop edifying their leaders. They might disagree or something, but it's not about disagreeing. It's just about edifying and constantly speaking forth that positive word. So I would edify my leaders, or when Young Living would come to town, and it was about every 3 months, 6 months. And I literally grew my business, almost never teaching a class to silver. I didn't teach, I just edified. And I also took another tip that Danny teaches us, and that's about dripping stories. So I created a little loophole, a loop group on email, and I would take stories and I would just send them to my contacts, and they would share read these stories. I would just send them a story. That's it. I would send them a story. And so when there was a class, I would get people to the class, and I wouldn't even show up. And people were like, Krista, you're the only person I know that can get people to go to class, and you don't even go. And it was because I did these just 2 skills.
But when did you hear about Danny, and tell me a little bit about how that went down?
It's so funny, Lindsay. A lot of my leaders don't know about that, but I did Discovery Toys. I did Pamper Chef. I did Arbonne. But it's so funny, when Arbonne came around, I saw it, and it was like coming into our area, and I was like, I want to do Arbonne. And I just did not feel the release to do that. And so about 7 years later, 5 years later, I feel the release to do it. I'm like, seriously, there's like 40 Mercedes at the local church. Seriously, do you want me to do Arbonne now? Felt the release to do it. I did 3 classes. No one would come. I couldn't get anyone to come. I finally got one lady to come. She was a little Indian lady who probably didn't speak very much English. And I practically rubbed her feet for 45 minutes. She never bought anything or anything. Couldn't even give a sample away. And so I had successful people in Arbonne, and I looked at them and I said, how are you doing this? What are you doing? And they're like, I don't know, but all I know is some lady talked about this trainer, and her name is Danny Johnson. And I went, okay. So I listened to Danny's free call that she does every Monday, tuned into that, and I was moved beyond movement. And it was a Thursday night, and she was going to be doing a class, her 3-day session, that Friday. And so I woke my husband up at 3 a.m. in the morning, and I said, we have got to go. We got to do whatever it takes. I don't care. We've got to go. We just got our tax return. We were living off one income, and we had just enough money to make this happen. I woke him up at 3 a.m. I said, we got to go. We just got to get there. And I woke up that next morning, which was Friday morning, and I checked, and it wasn't next week. It was that day.
Wow. That day?
That was that day, yeah. So I didn't have a week because it was off on a Monday. See, it was recorded for a while, so it was off. It wasn't next. It was that day. So I took the kids swimming, and I came home around noon. I had flip-flops and wet hair, and Jason's like, okay, so when are we going to go? What do we got to do? I said, forget it, honey. It's today. And I'm like, there's just no way. He said, pack your bags. You're going. So I threw my little Arbonne sample in my little bag, grabbed a couple outfits, and we went down to the airport. I said goodbye to my kids, and I said, I might see you, I might not. I love you. We're just going to go and check this out. So I said goodbye to my kids. I went counter to counter to counter at the airport and asking them if they had a round trip to Seattle. And we had exactly like $400. And one was like $1,200. One was $900. And just counter to counter with our cash. And one was like $380. So we backed up, and and I just shot up a prayer. I was like, Lord, I got to hear from you right now. Do I get on that plane or do I not? And I sat there, and Jason and I were like, I got to hear right now. And right beside me was a newspaper, and it had the Noah's Ark movie. I don't know if you remember that movie, but it was like, it said something like it made 2 by 2 makes $12 billion or something. I don't know, $12 million movie or whatever.
Yeah.
Something like that. I picked it up and I showed Jason, and he goes, oh my gosh, you are so getting on that plane, because my sponsor in Arbonne had been doing this 3 weeks of training on this 2 by 2, and she based it off Noah's Ark. So I got on the plane. I didn't have a place to stay. He goes home. He finds me a place to stay. I was going to stay in the airport. I had to get there. So I got there. I absolutely was completely inundated with the tools, the tips. I was so overwhelmed. I was upset because I felt like if I had had these tools, my life would have been completely different with my relationships. It just absolutely rocked my world. I went home. I listened to the script CDs 30 days straight. I just did a totally overhaul. I quit the business, which I call now our bondage. No offense, my friends who do our bond, but they work really hard. Our bond people work really hard. And so I quit the business. I just started using the skills and the tools from my home. So I trained my kids on how to form. I trained my kids on GEMS. We took the War on Debt, which my husband was like a super Nazi already on money management. I'm the one who's the loosey-goosey. And, oh yeah, guys, don't forget to invite people. Invite people right now to this Periscope. Swipe it over and invite people. And so I just incorporated these tools, these skills that Danny was using. I always tell people do script CDs first, do the 6 months and 6 figures next. And that will equip you to really receive everything if you decide to go live, to really receive, because it was so shocking to me, the things that she shared, the simple tools that she shared that a child can easily take and implement these tools and give them tools. And it absolutely changed my husband's life. Just forming changed his life. It was like I was entered into a whole new world. So I was doing Danny. Young Living came around, and I didn't even realize I was using Danny's tools for the first 2 years. And I had one builder come to me, and she's like, I'm doing this. I want to do this. And I'm like, okay. So I asked my family, I said, can I work just June and July? Can I work for this one builder? So I worked really, really hard for this one builder. For 2 months, we did a class like once or twice a week. I worked really hard. 2 months, I was done. I hated Young Living. My family was tired of me being gone. And my builder was, I signed everybody up for her. I worked really, really hard. And at the end of 2 months, I was done. I said, you know what? I'm pregnant. I'm about to have a baby. You're on your own. So she went and bought a script, spent $250. She calls me and she says, Krista, I did this script. And what do you say when they ask you where the lemons come from? And I was like, what are you saying that would make them ask you where the lemons are coming from?
Yeah.
And she was like, well, I just read the script. So we spent 5 hours, literally 5 hours with her on the phone, me, with this builder, my only builder. And I went over each slide with her. Because what's the next slide say? Okay, no, you don't say it like this, you say it like this. No, you don't say it like this, you say it like this. No, we don't. And then after 5 hours, I finally had a brain snaps. We have Nitro now, or we have Clarity, which I wasn't using. But I wish I would have. It took me 5 hours to figure this out. After 5 hours, I finally went, oh my gosh, everything I have learned has come from Danny. You've got to get to Danny. You got to go. So I went with her in August of 2000. Gosh, I was already silver at this time. I was already silver. It would have been 2000, 3 years ago. It would have been 3 years ago. So we went back to Danny, took her and several builders, or of her friends, not builders. They were trying to be builders. Plug back in, and that's when I really heard the Lord say, Krista, write a script and work once a month. Because I still was not doing it. Even as a silver, I was like, I'm not doing it. They called me and said, Krista, you're really close to silver. And I said, I don't care. I am not doing this. My family's important. My husband's important. And I know my personality. I would leave them behind as a go-getter, as a conqueror, and my family isn't worth the income. I interviewed my silver, my leader at the time, and I said, how much money are you making? She said, $3,000. And I said, how much do you spend? And she said, $1,000. And it wasn't worth it to me. I didn't want what she had. She did not give me, and I didn't want it. It wasn't worth my time away from my sweet little 6-month-old babies, my husband, who I treasure, who I fought, how I have fought to have this relationship with him. It just, nothing was dingling in front of my face. So I was a silver at this time, and I felt like the Lord just put in my heart, in my inner voice, it was just work once a month and write a script. So I literally, for 6 months, wrote this script. In January, I launched this script. I was a silver. In 1 year, I went to diamond. That was last year, January. This year, I went Royal Crown Diamond this January. So 2015 Royal Crown. Last year, January, I was a diamond. Then last year, I was a silver. So I implemented the laws of success. And Danny is brilliant in teaching the laws of success. You don't have to be a believer in any Bible, Torah, anything. There are laws of success that work for anyone. And I tapped into those laws. It was the law of focus. It was a law of you're faithful with the little, God will multiply you, and it doesn't make sense. So it doesn't make sense working once a month and promoting every 6 months. On top of that, those 2 years that I did that, I took off literally 5 to 6 months to have my baby, because making humans is really tough. And when you've made as many as I have, it's even tougher. Your body really works really, really hard to make a human month or year after year. Literally, my kids are average about 14, 15 months apart. And it's a lot of work making a human. And so I literally would focus on that. But it was really funny because every time I took off, that was when I usually would promote. And so even though I only worked once a month and I took off, I still was multiplying. And I can tell you, Lindsay, as you know, you're an emerald, I can tell you, I can go back to my OGB, and I can literally physically show you the months that I physically plugged into Danny, because I would experience about a 20% growth on my GB.
Yeah.
And I can go back. I can go back and say, I plugged in this month, I plugged in this month, because I would have like a 5,000 growth or a no growth or a little growth. And then I would plug into Danny, and I would go 30,000 PV in 1 month. I would go 50,000 PV in 1 month. This month, I didn't plug in, but my husband plugged in. He went to Danny. He took 5 of our kids to
I saw
LA.
him there.
We bought an RV so we could take our children, because I'm telling you, moms, oh my gosh, it is the most amazing thing for children. I have taken my 7-year-old on up, going to Danny and taking your children. I'm telling you, you want your kids to get on the right path for their destiny, and your kids will just absolutely be transformed. There was an 8-year-old, Lindsay, and you can attest for this, that has what I can't remember. I wasn't there. I just got hearsay, but he has $1,000 residual income. An 8-year-old, using these tools that Danny teaches. He was told he was never going to be able to work or have a job. Is that right, Lindsay? Do you remember the story?
Yes, because he has Asperger's.
Asperger's. Because Asperger's, and he now has a residual of $1,000 a month income. And Danny's son, Micah, who's 16, I think he's 16, he's 15, he owns his home. It's a rental home. And he works at Domino's. So there's work ethic. There is just a connection within those kids that go. And anyway, so
I wanted to say that seeing your kids there and seeing other kids there is very inspiring to me. And I only have one kid. She's almost 7. And I aspire to be able to bring her. And I've been working on grooming the next generation for success with her, to get her to a place where we can go and she will will sit and pay attention and want to go and pay her way to go. All these kids are paying their own way to go.
Yes, and my kids did pay their way to go there. They went, they took hair bows we bought online, and they went door to door selling them for donation. And my kids would make $800 in 4 weeks for donation. And like Mackenzie would get $50. The lady would give her, one time the lady gave her $50 and didn't even buy her a bow. Where there's a will, there's a way. Where there's an effort, there's a way.
Yes.
And so it's just, you get out what you put in. And so those kids, you're right, Lindsay, and having your daughter earn her way and pay her way, they will ever get so much more. It's just like your builders. Danny teaches us we don't buy tickets for our team, because I would be stealing from my team if I were to pay for their ticket, because you have to put in, and that's we're giving. There's an exchange, and you have to put in to be able to multiply the seed that you put in.
That's
and
right.
That is seed. It's seed going into that is actual seed, and that's something that we just are not taught a lot. And but it is my kids. It's the biggest. Put them on their destiny and their path, taking them to first steps to success. And we're about to go to Dynasty, and actually tomorrow.
Yes.
We're leaving tomorrow. We're taking our kids to Texas for the secondary training. And the secondary training, you can't go until you've done the first one. But she basically teaches you how to deal with gossip, how to deal with offense, how to really communicate using the gems and on their level, and how to motivate. It's like you think First Steps is a lot of stuff, a lot of training, and every time I plug back in, it's like I have never heard it before.
Yeah.
It really is. It's like oils. It's like you can never learn enough on the oils. And hey, Casey, and it's ever learning. It's like you can hear her, people like plug in one time. Well, I'm telling you, it's just like, why do we go to church one time? It's like it's a layering and layering and layering of growth. But like I said, this month Jason went. Our OGV grew 20%, and at my level as a Royal Crown Diamond, that is significant growth.
That's a huge amount of income.
It's different from going from 5,000 to 10,000, but at 20% growth at my level, it's a big growth, and there's no dynamic. And get this, I didn't even do anything different. I didn't teach a class. I didn't do a webinar. I didn't do a Periscope, and we grew 20%. So there's a lot of dynamics that we're tapping into that a lot of people don't realize. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Folks out there, so we've got a number of folks on. Do you guys have any questions for Krista?
You guys have any questions? Because I'm listening to Lindsay too talk, so.
I'm like wondering if this. I'm wondering if this. So honored. Are you guys still there? I'm not seeing comments coming up, so now I'm worried that this isn't working. But I'm sure it's videoing on my phone, and we can upload it to YouTube later.
Hey,
here we go. Here's a question.
I'm gonna do. Can I do a commercial?
Here's a question though, quickly. How do you?
This is my PowerPoint thinking commercial.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you my commercial. This is this Bragg's drink. I make this special drink. This is actually just reminds me to put apple cider vinegar. This is sweet tea. And I fill it up, and then I put about 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, and then it looks funny because I put turmeric in it and ginger.
Yum.
And it's just a really great, wonderful,
that sounds delicious
drink to keep it going. So that's my commercial.
Someone just asked how you put blinders on and focus on your day.
How do I put blinders on and focus? Well, it's about, for me, how do I put blinders on and focus? For me, it's about urgency, because I know, like right now, I got to show you earlier, but I'm in a room of about I'm not very good, probably 4,000 square feet. And there's about probably 10 tables here. And there's about probably 20 people in the room right now. This is my office. And I'm here from 9 a.m. My kids are all plugging into their tutors. And I'm here until usually about 12 o'clock. And Mackenzie will relieve me. Or if I ask her, I can stay till 3:30. And I have no children. I have no babies right now. And if I don't get what I need to get done in this moment, it doesn't get done. I have too many distractions. I have food to fix. I have toilets to clean. Yes, I clean my toilets. And I have beds to make. And I have a 7-month-old, he just turned 2, a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, 17. She just turned 18. So I really have a lot going on, and plus a husband who is like kids on steroids, right? And so we have date nights, and there's just a lot of things to go shop for the food. I have to fix the food, and so I know if I don't get whatever it is I need to put into Young Living Business in this day, in this moment, it doesn't get done. And that is the beauty of having my busy life. Because to be honest, Lindsay, I think I would have snowed in if I didn't have as many kids, because the kids have forced me to apply the law of focus and time management.
Yeah. It's amazing what can happen when you cut back your hours. So everyone watching, if you are spending more than 10 to 20 hours a week on your Young Living business, I would say don't do that. Go back to work doing something else so that you only have that amount of time, because that's what will make you focus.
Well, and Lindsay, for you, the temptation is that you can make time, and in that time you can cause to worry, You can get in fear.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're worrying in your fear, it's because you have the time.
Yeah.
You're not filling in those spots. And it's all good. Oh, I got to tell you, I'm so excited because I've really implemented these laws of success through time management, particularly we're focusing on. I've always dreamed of singing. Now, that's like crazy because I've always been told I can't sing. But in my head, I have visions of me singing. And really, it's just for the author of one. I love the Lord, and I love singing. And I sing to him, and I say to myself, I don't sound very good. But anyway, because I've been able to apply these laws of success, I've actually started taking singing lessons from a man who's 80 years old. And that's just been a dream. But I would have never done that if I'd not put in my goals and start to implement those and really make my life be, because I'm telling y'all, I have a 20-year-old, I have an 18-year-old, and it goes so fast. And I remember when I had a little baby, and that's all the older people would say. They would come and they would, walk by me and they'd go, it goes so fast, it goes so fast. I'm like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I really didn't believe them, but it does. It goes really fast. And you'll blink, and you'll be 40, you blink, and you're 60, and you blink, and you're 80. And it's like, what'd you do with your life? Did you do what was in your heart? Did you do what was the destiny within you? Did you give more? Did you go into that country? Did you feed that orphan? Did you sing? Did you get singing lessons? And we could get so caught up in ministering to our team and getting off, because like Danny says, the recipe for failure in this business is 80% of being there with your team, helping your team, building your team up, giving your business calls, giving your product education, when it should be 80% prospecting. 80% of your time should be getting new people. 19% should be into helping your team. And because really, after you give them the Essential Oil Desk Reference and a couple of the Deerdrift books, and they go to convention, they really have all the tools. They have all the tools that you have. So, and 1% is into problem solving. And so many times we reverse that recipe, and it's a big, fast track to hit a fast wall.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty quick. And that's why people get broke.
Are you guys hearing this? I hope you guys are listening, because a lot of folks in here, and I'm kind of a little bit giggling, Krista, because they're asking, well, how did you do that? How? And I've just got to wrap up because I know that you don't have a ton of time, and I'm loving this, and we just gave you the answer, everyone on the phone. We just gave you the answer. So 5 hours a week, 80% of our time is on new prospects. 19% of our time is focused on our team. So if you're asking about care calls, that would fit in. So 5 hours a week, if 80% of that time, that's 3.5 hours or 4 hours that she's prospecting, and only like 45 minutes doing care calls in a week, and then that rest of the 15 minutes is on problem solving. So what's that going to do? That's going to raise up people who know what they're doing. How do we do this? We plug into DannyJohnson.com, go buy the product Time Secrets. If you can't invest $225 in yourself, then you could just keep doing what you're doing. The other thing is to go to First Steps to Success. Again, an event that is in January on the 16th and 17th. Danny Johnson runs these events every 6 to 8 weeks. And you learn all the skills you need. So we're telling you here, that's how she did it. That's how I did it. That's how we do it. And it's totally opposite of probably what you were trained to do, but it works. It works. So the event is called First Steps to Success. Yeah, it's the Laws of Success. So go to DannyJohnson.com and you can learn about all of this, or you can go to SmarterNetworker.com. The Home Success Bundle at SmarterNetworker.com is amazing. If you're on my team, all of these links are in our business group in the Oily Angels Connections in the pinned post. So you can get them all there. Thank you so much, Krista. I'm so happy that you joined us today. You were so inspiring. It was because of you that I was able to plug in and do this, and it's because of you that I grew to Royal Crown, and I just really appreciate you so much and your leadership so much. I mean, you you are the proof in the pudding that you can do this with the right skills with 15 children. So if you have 6 children and you're thinking you can't do this, or if you have 4 children and you're thinking you can't do this, if you have 3 children and you're thinking you can't do this, here's here's the reason why you can. So thank you guys so much for joining, and have a wonderful day. Thanks, Krista.
You're welcome, Lindsay. Bye.
Bye.